join me in welcoming back Mr. Ed Lachmann.
Wait, well, first I'll just say something about the origins of this. At any given time, there's a number of problems. Excuse me. The problems floating around in your head, and you're looking for kind of film metaphors for them. And I thought I'd like to do a midlife movie. And I ran through a whole series of predictable metaphors. A man leaves his wife, a college professor runs off with a student and heads across the country, etc. And I really couldn't get anything that seemed original or interesting. And I sort of gave up on the idea that maybe I won't write a midlife movie. And then one night I was having a dream, and very vividly, this man came into my dream, and he was speaking to me. His face was right here. His name was John, and he was a dealer that I had known. And I woke up with a start. I said, wow, that was vivid. Where did he come from? Why did he come? He said, and he was so close to me. I said, what were we, I got up and I said, well, what were we talking about? And I thought, oh, we were talking about the movies. He was talking about the movies. And then it hit me. I said, that's him. That's my midlife metaphor. Drug dealer, drug delivery boy. I couldn't find him. I gave up finding him. He got so pissed off, he came to me in a dream and said, hey, come on, let's go, let's write this. And I went right to my office and I started sketching out ideas for this character. And by that evening, I had actually tracked him down. He was still dealing. And went and met with him and started talking to him. And within 3-4 weeks, I had the script. So that's how it came about. And so that's just kind of a bit of background that would probably come up anyway. So I answered the first question.
Other questions? I could also
Sure.
direct it slightly. Of course, I think people are probably familiar with your writings on Bresson, but it seems like there seems to be a very clear nod at the end of this picture to Pickpocket. Maybe just in a sense, I ask if you conceived of this film as some type of love story as well.
Well, I don't know. You have to sort of be careful in that area because you end up saying things that make you sound pretty silly. It is the same ending as Pickpocket, and as was American Gigolo. And the same last line of this film is also the same last line of The Walker. I sort of conceive of those 4 films as a kind of tetralogy of sorts. The Taxi Driver and Gigolo and Light Sleeper and Raging Bull. To me, it's sort of the same character, a kind of a peeper, a wanderer, someone who looks into other people's lives and he doesn't have a life of his own. He wants to get a life, doesn't quite know how to go about it. And when he was 20, he was angry, he drove a cab. When he was 30, he was narcissistic, he was a gigolo. When he was 40, he was anxious and was a drug delivery boy. And when he was 50, he was superficial and was a society walker. And so if this is the inverse of Taxi Driver, which is taking the character from the front seat to the back seat, from active to passive, then Walker is the inverse of Gigolo in the sense of I got him out of the closet. And but that's those 4 characters. I think other people wouldn't say that's the same guy. You know, I mean, is Taxi Driver really the same guy as a 50-year-old Queen? But in my mind, somehow that is the same guy. And I guess that's kind of what the way art works, is because there are connections inside the mind of the creator that aren't necessarily valid or true, but they are only true to the extent that they make sense to the creator. And you're always looking for those kind of connections that make sense to you, but may not make sense to the next person. Because if they make sense to the next person, they're probably not very interesting.
So, and this is the first of two films that you and Ed collaborated on, the other being Touch.
Yeah, and Ed, I remember we had an argument over this one. Ed, if you've been watching his films here, Ed's a great believer in gels, and I was a fan then, probably still am, but not so much. I had started using gels, and I had switched over to white light, and I really was a big fan of white light. And Ed and I, we were always arguing about white light versus gels. And I was surprised that there were more gels than I remember here. That in one scene, I let him use the gels in the hotel lovemaking scene, where he got to do the counterposing gels. He was shooting green one way and blue the other way. Is that it?
Yeah, the Vermeer one.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Well.
Yeah, no, just the Vermeer obvious reference to the warmth of their affection, and then the acid green of like it's coming from fluorescent light outside the room.
But no, I mean, I don't go back. I don't look at the films again. I just watch the ending of this, and it's some nice work in it. Another interesting thing about it was that I wanted to have a third voice for this character. He has his own voice of the actor. Then he has a second voice, which is the voice of the narrator. And I thought, well, I'd like to add a third voice, which is the voice of the singer. So he has three different ways to communicate with you. One directly, one through his thoughts, and one through a kind of poetic alter ego. So I wrote the script based around a cycle of songs by Bob Dylan. And I knew Bob, and I'd done a music video with him, so I was fairly assured that I could get these songs for free. And so I sent him the script, and he called me back and he said, "You've got the wrong 5 songs, or 6 songs." And he told me what the songs he wanted me to use. And they were completely wrong. Completely wrong. He wanted me to use Summertime. He wanted to redo Summertime. Summertime, you know, the Gershwin song. And I said, "Bob, these songs don't work, you know." He said, "Well, he says, you can have them, they're free, I won't charge you for them." But I said, "Well, he said, but those are the only ones you can have." And then that's sort of very much in keeping with the type of person he is. You know, he thinks like a poet, you know. We tend to think 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. He tends to think 1 blue, 4 cow. And then a friend of mine said to me, "Do you know the work of Michael Bean? He's a Christian singer in a group called The Call." And he says he's a great voice, and I think you should look into him and hire him. So I looked into his work, and Michael wrote the song cycle, and that way we could time it right to all the scenes, and then also did the score. So in my original script, a title sequence song by Dylan was Something's Burden from Empire Burlesque, and Michael wrote The World's on Fire. So they're fairly close to what I had taken from Dylan's work.